Adolf Hitler's story. Welcome everyone. In this video you will learn about the historical story of Adolf Hitler, his rise, ideology, and impact on the world. While the subject matter is serious and significant, this script is also designed as a learning tool to help you improve your English skills. By reading and listening to this structured narrative, you'll strengthen your vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency, all while gaining a deeper understanding of one of history's most consequential figures. Adolf Hitler remains one of history's most notorious figures, a dictator whose ideology and actions reshaped the 20th century and left a legacy of devastation. This script traces his life from early years in Austria, through his rise to power in Germany, the orchestration of WWI and the Holocaust, and finally to his downfall and the lessons we must heed today. Early life and background, 1889-1907. Hitler was born on April 20th, 1889, in Braunau am Inn, a small town on the Austrian-German border, to Alois Hitler, a customs official, and Clara Hitler, née Pölzel. His father was authoritarian and domineering, his mother affectionate and caring. Adolf had 5 younger siblings, but only Paula, born in 1896, survived to adulthood. The combination of strict paternal discipline and loving maternal affection, along with a childhood illness at age 3, measles or scarlet fever, which may have led to chronic eye issues, shaped young Adolf's personality and health. Early childhood was marked by virus-related illness, a deep bond with his mother, and academic inconsistency. He dropped out of high school reportedly because he lacked discipline and failed to commit. By age 18, Hitler set his sights on Vienna, then the Austro-Hungarian Empire's capital, a place he believed would nourish his dreams of becoming an artist. Vienna years and formative years, 1907 to 1913. Hitler moved to Vienna in 1907 after being rejected twice from the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. He spent the next 6 years in Vienna living in men's hostels and working odd jobs selling postcards. During this period, he encountered anti-Semitic nationalism pervasive in Vienna's social and cultural life, fueled by figures such as Mayor Karl Lueger. It was in these years that Hitler's worldview began to take shape. He read Völkisch literature, believed in Aryan superiority, admired hierarch Lueger's policies, and absorbed German nationalist and anti-Semitic rhetoric. Though lacking formal political involvement, his beliefs hardened, laying the groundwork for his later ideology. Munich and World War I, 1913-1918. In 1913, anticipating conscription into the Austro-Hungarian army, Hitler moved to Munich. When World War I erupted in August 1914, he volunteered for the Bavarian army. He served as a dispatch runner on the Western Front in France and Belgium and displayed bravery under fire, earning the Iron Cross, Second Class, in 1914 and the Iron Cross, First Class in 1918, an unusual honor for someone of his rank. The war had a profound impact. Hitler felt a deep bond with Germany, hatred for the 1918 armistice, and a belief that Germany had been stabbed in the back by internal enemies, particularly Jews and communists. This myth became a central tenet of his later ideology. Post-war Germany and entry into politics, 1918 to 1923. Germany's defeat in 1918 led to revolution, the abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II, and the founding of the Weimar Republic. Hitler returned to Munich in November 1918 and was distraught. He believed the war had been lost from within. Assigned by army propaganda units to infiltrate and spy on the German Workers' Party, DAP, in 1919, Hitler instead found a platform. He joined the DAP and began speaking at meetings, quickly standing out with his energy, rhetorical talent, and radical ideas. By mid-1921, he was effectively in charge, rebranding the party as the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, adopting the swastika flag and Nazi salute under his guidance. Munich Putsch and Imprisonment, 1923-1924. On November 8, 1923, in Munich, Hitler and General Erich Ludendorff attempted to seize control in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. It failed. Ludendorff was let go, while Hitler was arrested for high treason and sentenced to 5 years in Landsberg prison, though he served only 9 months. However, the trial turned into a propaganda triumph. Hitler's speeches made him a national figure. In prison, he wrote Mein Kampf with Rudolf Hess dictating. The book outlined his anti-Semitic and expansionist ideology, including concepts of Lebensraum, living space, and the Führerprinzip, leader principle. His imprisonment also led him to shift tactics, away from street violence toward legal political participation. Rebuilding the Nazi Party, 1925-1929. After his release in late 1924, Hitler reorganized the NSDAP. The party expanded into new regions, established youth and women's organizations, the SS and SA paramilitary formations, and Joseph Goebbels headed propaganda. The NSDAP adopted modern marketing techniques, rallies, newspapers, and Hitler's charismatic persona. During the mid-1920s, the Nazi movement seemed marginal, getting just 2 to 3% of national votes in 1928. But foundational structures were in place, preparing for greater success when economic crisis hit. The Great Depression and electoral boom, 1929-1933, the Wall Street crash in October 1929 triggered massive unemployment and destabilized Weimar Germany. The NSDAP capitalized on widespread discontent by blaming Jews, Marxists, and the Treaty of Versailles. The party surged in electoral popularity, 18% of the vote in 1930, the second largest party, and 37% in mid-1932, making it the largest party in the Reichstag. Wealthy conservative elites, fearing communism, believed they could use Hitler as a controlled tool for stability and pushed President Paul von Hindenburg to appoint him chancellor. Reichstag Fire and Rise to Dictatorship, 1933. On February 27, 1933, the Reichstag building burned. Hitler used the event to persuade Hindenburg to sign the Reichstag Fire Decree, suspending civil liberties, banning opposition parties, and enabling arrests without warrants. The Enabling Act passed on March 23, giving Hitler legislative power for 4 years, ushering in the dictatorship. Within months, opposition parties were outlawed, trade unions destroyed, and the press and media came under Nazi control. Political dissenters were arrested or sent to early concentration camps set up in Dachau. Consolidation of power, 1934-1935. In late June, early July 1934, the Night of the Long Knives purged Ernst Röhm and other SA leaders who threatened Hitler's control. It also signaled to the army that Hitler was now indisputably in charge. In August 1934, President Hindenburg died. Hitler merged the offices of Chancellor and President, declaring himself Führer and Reich Chancellor, centralizing all executive authority and establishing a cult of personality. Rearmament and Foreign Policy, 1933-1938. Despite Versailles Treaty restrictions, Germany began rearmament in 1933, launched conscription in 1935, and remilitarized the Rhineland in 1936. These moves drew little direct resistance from other European nations, emboldening Hitler further. The Anschluss occurred in March 1938, annexing Austria. Later that year, at the Munich Conference, Hitler was appeased by Britain and France, who allowed Nazi Germany to annex the Sudetenland without war, further boosting his strategic aim of territorial expansion. Road to War, Poland and White begins 1939. On September 1, 1939, Hitler launched blitzkrieg on Poland from east and west. Britain and France declared war on September 3rd, marking the start of WWI. Poland was defeated by early October, partitioned between Germany and the USSR under their previously secret Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Early campaigns and European conquest, 1940. In 1940, Germany invaded Denmark and Norway in April, followed by Belgium, the Netherlands, and France in May-June. The swift conquest through combined arms tactics, including paratroopers and armored divisions, culminated in the June 22 armistice with France. Hitler's popularity peaked. Battle of Britain and Focus East, 1940-1941. Having secured Western Europe, Hitler turned east. But before moving against Russia, he ordered the Luftwaffe to subdue Britain, starting the Battle of Britain in July 1940. The RAF held firm, and the failure to secure air supremacy forced Germany to postpone plans for an invasion of Britain and shift focus east. Operation Barbarossa, 1941. On June 22, 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. The initial advance was immense, but by winter stalled near Moscow. The campaign stretched German resources. Most importantly, it plunged Germany into a war on two fronts they were ill-prepared to sustain. The Holocaust. From mass murder to genocide, 1941-1945. Between 1941 and 1945, Hitler oversaw the systematic murder of 6 million Jews and millions of others, including Roma, Slavs, political dissidents, and disabled individuals. Mass shootings by Einsatzgruppen began after the invasion of the USSR. At the Wannsee Conference in January 1942, Nazi leaders formalized the final solution: industrial-scale extermination through gas chambers in camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, and Sobibor. Other theaters: North Africa, Mediterranean, and Eastern Front, 1941-1944. In North Africa, the Africa Corps under Erwin Rommel waged campaigns in 1941-1943, but was pushed back at El Alamein and in Tunisia. Meanwhile, the war in the East became a war of attrition. The Battle of Stalingrad, winter 1942-1943, became a turning point as the German Sixth Army surrendered in February 1943 and the Soviets began rolling back the Nazi advance. Sustained Allied pressure, bombing, and D-Day, 1943-1944. From 1943 onward, the Allied bombing campaign systematically destroyed German cities: Hamburg in 1943, Dresden in 1945, crippling industrial capacity and morale. On June 6, 1944, Allied forces launched Operation Overlord, D-Day, crossing into Normandy and opening a second Western Front. Paris was liberated in August. Nazi collapse, 1944-1945. Facing invasion from east and west, Hitler became increasingly erratic. On July 20, 1944, Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg attempted to kill Hitler in the infamous bomb plot. Hitler survived, and reprisal was brutal. The Eastern Front collapsed. Soviet forces reached Berlin in April 1945. Hitler's Final Days and Suicide, 1945. In April 1945, Hitler retreated to his bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery. Facing certain defeat, he married Eva Braun on April 29, 1945. On April 30th, they both committed suicide, Hitler by gunshot, Eva by poison. Their bodies were burned in the garden above the bunker. Germany surrendered shortly after on May 7, 1945. Aftermath, trials, memory, and legacy. In the aftermath, surviving Nazi leadership was held accountable at the Nuremberg trials, 1945 to 1946. The Holocaust's scale became fully visible, and societies worldwide engaged in deep reflection. The Federal Republic of Germany, West Germany, grappled with Vergangenheitsbewältigung, the struggle to come to terms with the past. Hitler's life and ideology continue to serve as a stark reminder of the dangers of authoritarianism, extremism, and hate. Reflections on ideology and warnings for today. Key themes emerge from Hitler's rise. Political opportunism. Exploiting crises can elevate extremist voices. Propaganda and charisma. The Nazi regime mastered media to cultivate mass loyalty. Institutional collapse. When democracy falters, authoritarian rule prevails. Aftermath. The Holocaust and Way to reshape Europe and global norms, leading to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948, and modern genocide prevention. Adolf Hitler's journey from soldier to dictator demonstrates how unchecked demagoguery, ideology, and institutional decay can unleash catastrophic consequences. For modern audiences, his life underscores the importance of historical memory, tolerance, democratic institutions, and vigilance against hate. As we reflect on Hitler's story, we are reminded that the forces which once enabled him remain present today and that we must remain resolute in opposing them.